folks, don't forget we are in hurricane season, but it really doesn't matter, right? Because I just drove through a torrential downpour on my way here. If you live in the Wechete area and the Kendo area, somewhere I drove right through, there was a torrential downpour, and that could happen at any time, create leaks, winds. All you need is 40 miles or more, and that might create even roof damage. Never call the insurance companies. You call Welt Rheaume, they have their own adjusters who work for you. You know, when the insurance company sends the adjusters, they're working for the insurance company, not for you, dude. Okay, so call Welt Rheaume. They'll send their adjusters, and then they'll attack the insurance company for you. So if you're dealing with bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, reach out to Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. The consultation is free. 954-966-4646. All right, Mr. Furones. From what I gather, I would call this, even though it was a no-pad day, I would call this a good day because nobody got injured, correct?
Yeah. No one live had any serious injuries. Sometimes guys end up with nicks that reveal themselves the next day, and obviously a few guys like, let's say, Alec Ingold, he's going through concussion protocol, so you're still waiting on him. We did have Elijah Campbell in a red no-contact jersey today.
That was the news. That was
different. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of Andrew Myers still wasn't out there. And Austin Jackson's going to be out for a while. Same with Ashton Davis, Dante Trader, Keon Smith. So some guys missing, but yeah, no new injury popping up.
No, and to me I shouldn't say that because actually Elijah Campbell was something nobody knew about until now because he had the red jersey. So non-contact, but today was kind of a non-contact day anyways, because you're not wearing pads, so you're not really hitting as they say. So I would call it a decent day. But the Elijah Campbell thing for a secondary that really outside of the top guy, it's hard to get a feel for anything. And I know Storm Duck played well today, but again, no pads and all that kind of stuff. It's just hard, man, to suffer injuries because they're so thin there. They don't even Weaver doesn't even know what he has back there outside of Minka.
It's so true how you can never have enough because, you are talking. I mean, we already know about the corners, but then the safety group after Minka, you're still working. If Fatu Melifonwu back, Ashton Davis has missed more than a week now, and it's going to still be more time. Elijah Campbell still had an active practice. He still did a lot. He was involved in team drills, but just no contact with him. That's why he was in the red jersey. So still a good sign that it's not something too serious that couldn't keep him from going out there running, playing the safety position. And Trader as well. So you have a lot of safeties who are dinged up right now. Not to mention, you've already had multiple corners with season-ending injuries in Kader Kohu and, of course, Artie Burns, who you barely ever had. You only had him for OTAs and minicamp and then first practice of training camp gone. So, secondary, boy. I mean, these guys, they run a lot. They have to be quick twitch, reacting to what wide receivers are doing. And a lot of times that could lead to a lot of soft tissue ailments. And you run into guys in practice when they have a head of steam getting to the second level. So, obviously a position where you are at risk a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's just a tough situation. The Austin Jackson one, let's talk a little bit about a disturbing trend for Dolphins, for media, for the team itself. Okay, so what you're telling me now is, did you see Darren Waller practice?
Not practicing, doing some work on the side, working out.
Okay, so Rosenhaus came out. Oh, no, he'll be ready for week 1. Okay, well, but you got to practice and actually play in order to be ready. And then now Austin Jackson, okay, he'll be ready for week 1. And, this game that you're playing, you're kind of rolling the dice and hoping that people are ready. You would like to see them out on the field, actually. Austin Jackson, even though he's proven – it's a detriment for the poor man to come straight out of injury to go to week 1 and just play. The Darren Waller one, I can't answer that, dude. I don't know I don't know what injury or something. They don't have to tell you guys anything, right? Right now, they don't have to say an injury, right? They're
Right, correct.
no reason for when they even mention lower leg. They're being kind, even mentioning that if they want to do that, right?
Right. You might just get a leg or lower body as the description.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just wonder with this situation, this is a team that's so thin that you're also counting on people to return at a specific date. That kind of puts you in a really difficult situation when you really don't have somebody to step in and take over for that person.
Here's what perplexes me about the Darren Waller thing is that, okay, so he's not in football shape. You say he's in great shape, and it's just, okay, he's coming out of retirement and needs to get acclimated. But the thing is, when is he ever going to get in football shape from not practicing? Because now we're at the point in training camp. These guys are about to go to Chicago in Lake Forest, Illinois, and do a joint practice where the intensity is ratcheted up over there. It's joint practices. You're facing another team. You've gone through 2 weeks of training camp of going against each other. You've had some padded practices. Like now you want to go against an opponent and hit and really like thump and bring physicality and get it going a little bit. That's why you always have all these fights whenever you get to joint practices. You're about to go through that, and then the same thing in Detroit for 2 more sessions. So when is it that Darren Waller is actually going to start getting him on his way and reacclimated? It would have to be after all that. You also have a joint practice against the Jaguars when they come to town for the final week of the regular season. So now he's already missed all of this valuable time leading up to this, and you don't want to throw him into that fire when he hasn't been practicing. So, now I'm really confused as to when he's actually going to get that ramp up toward the regular season, although it is said that he will be back from his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, by week 1. And with Austin Jackson, I would say I'm less concerned about him. I would, even though he finished last season, second half of the season with that meniscus injury, I feel like he can just come right back and get it going. I feel like he is in that place as a veteran now, and
but it's not good for him health wise to have to ratchet up. The what's good for him is to have a training camp and a preseason and a couple of practices and get in that football shape, not rehab and then hurry get into football shape. That's rough for him, dude. And guess what? He's injury prone now. It's official.
Oh, yeah.
It's official now.
We knew that. Yeah, he had a good run, but then it was not right to it.
He had the ankle deal 2 years ago, and then he had the thing here at the end of last year. Okay, that's fine, but now you have this shit too. Yeah, just go. It's like, yeah, no, dude. Yeah, and so injury-prone people, I don't like putting them in that kind of position, but we'll see what happens. But it's just, I just hope it doesn't keep piling on. Guys that you're hoping to return for week 1. And back to the Waller situation. Here's where there's a fork in the road with me, and I'm going to go in another way where, a lot of fans and sometimes end in this silly thing. Oh, he's proven he was a Pro Bowler like 5, 6, 7 years ago or something. Like, dude, we got to stop on the reputation. You got to go off his latest reputation, which is he's a quitter. His numbers are pedestrian the last couple of years that he was in the league. It's not like he was a difference maker. And so all of a sudden, now we have this mysterious, like you just said it, if he's not in football shape, well, dude, this is the time to get in football shape right now. Nobody's in football shape. These are the weeks you use to get in football shape, and you're not using that. There's something else going on, and they're lying about something.
Yeah, and I think back to who was the last person that everyone went off reputation with for the Dolphins last year, who started the season on PUP. OBJ, right? You know where I'm going. So I don't want to resort to that like it's going to be another Odell Beckham situation. But I mean, actually, even tougher deal. He's coming off of retirement, just where he was just distance. He had distance in his mind from the game. Losing the passion, and then now like picking it back up. So that's somewhere where mentally you have to get there. Although, sure, yeah.
It's funny, right? They pulled one guy out of retirement when the receiver they cut went back into retirement now, Odell Beckham, because he's not playing anywhere. So it just kind of I don't like counting on people like this. We're counting on another head case. And that's what Odell is, and that's what this guy is. He's another head case, bro. I mean, give me a break, dude. He couldn't even keep Kelsey Plum.
I'm not sure Odell was ever not retired when he was in Miami. I feel like that was an early retirement.
Touché.
Right there.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he just took it that way. But I do want to touch on one more thing with Austin Jackson is now this is an opportunity for Larry Borum to get elevated as a guy who's going to be an important. I know you laugh, but this is a guy that they are counting on to be the reserve swing tackle. That's going to be an important position with Austin Jackson's injury history. You need him to now get some reps against a former team of his now in the Bears, going in some joint practices against their front. So that's going to be important time for him to get those reps. While I feel like if Austin Jackson, yes, injury prone, there's going to be questions about him staying healthy. But I feel like if he is good to go, you can count on him at right tackle. Larry Borum as the reserve is a question mark that needs to get some big time reps. So I do want to see him go through these joint practices against the Bears, against the Lions next week, and see where he's at and if he can develop and build off of some of his shortcomings last year with the Bears.
Listen, I'm honored that you're trying out the material that you're going to try in the improv here on the show. I'm honored, bro.
You heard it first. You heard it first.
And I think, open mic night, I think you're going to kill it, dude. I think you're just going to fucking kill it, bro. I'm telling you, that right there is going to take you far right there. Now, in all seriousness, okay, I get the latest hopium you've got to pump into fans now with Larry Borum and all that. But
it's not hopium. It's not. He needs some reps. He needs some practice.
That ain't gonna happen. Where is Keon Smith? That's the guy I have some hope for to be a swing tackle. That's the guy I had hope for before. Whether I think they're fiddling around with him at guard or some. Bro, he's a tackle. And he's a young guy. He's got athleticism. He can move around. I don't know where he's at health-wise coming back from that knee injury from last year, but that kid showed me something. And he had the injury early, in the late in the offseason. It was like the season didn't even start. So he's had more than enough time to recover, and he's young. Where is Keon? Because that's the guy right now that I may have some hope for to step in and fill in a little bit.
Yeah, it was last preseason, so he has had the full year now at this point. Yeah. He's practicing in a knee brace on the left knee, so still dealing with some remnants of it. And actually today I did see him on the side. He had like a trainer. He was on one knee, and then he was like pointing at the left leg, like in the knee area. I don't want to speculate, but still obviously maybe working through some stuff. Not something that kept him out or that he had to exit practice early. But still probably feeling something that he's got to work through, and pointing it out to a trainer. I did observe that today. But a guy who needs to earn a spot through versatility and being valuable at multiple positions. We've seen him go out to they try to make him a guard. He's been a tackle. Tackle goes down in Austin Jackson, works some outside out there. So a guy who will have to earn it through versatility. And right now, maybe on the outside looking in of a roster spot, but it could depend on how many the Dolphins are looking to take on the offensive line, where maybe he could be, if it is 9, then maybe he could be that 9th, or if Liam isn't back and showing anything by the end, or maybe they start him on the short-term IR before bringing him back, if Keon could get a roster spot that way. So there's avenues to get there, but still a little bit of a struggle, still probably dealing with some of the knee issues, but someone who you can still have a shot. You can still have a shot at it.
I hope so, man. I hope the kid can get healthy, because he was actually showing us something I really like what I was seeing.
Good, yeah, big time journey for him. Just from small time school and then working his way to a practice squad player, makes the roster 1 year, and obviously last year's knee injury was so devastating to see for a good guy.
Is there another lineman out there that's caught your eye at all outside of the starting 4 now that are left, and guard or center or tackle or anybody out there? Any other name? I know you brought up Larry Borum like that's the next focus, but I don't think Larry Borum has had this great camp so far anyway. Just out of curiosity, has anybody stood out?
Yeah, no, I mean he's just a guy that you kind of, it seems like you have to count on. But let's see. I mean, I am trying to keep an eye on Jermaine Ifedi, who was a former first-round pick way back in 2016. They signed him recently, and now in his 30s, of course. But possibly a candidate to elevate himself as he gets more practices under his wing and more reps in this system. Obviously, Daniel Brunskill, similar in recent signing, and a guy who has versatility on the line, and maybe has taken his lumps early in camp, but still a guy with experience under Mike McDaniel in San Francisco, and done some things at Tennessee. So still a guy that you're hopeful for, and Andrew Meyer, who. He's been out now, left the last practice early on Sunday. Wasn't out there today, but obviously made the roster as a player who they just stashed last year, essentially similar to at one time Keon Smith. But the Dolphins never had him active, always kind of just kept the 9 offensive linemen. So you could tell that Mike McDaniel, Butch Berry, Frank Smith, they're hopeful on that kid. That's why they gave him the roster spot and basically just held him out on the roster and kept him inactive for all those games because they just wanted to keep him and keep developing him. So obviously a guy who has had while Aaron Brewer, for example, at center, missed early parts of camp, then Andrew Meyer was playing an elevated role at center. So one guy to keep an eye on as well. But right now he's missing some time. He just missed today's practice after leaving early, the last one.
Meyer and Tanner Connor and Julian Hill. It's like a frat. It's like a frat of guys that hang out for 2, 3, 4 years, taking NFL salary, doing absolutely nothing, just hanging out, living on potential. Potential. That's amazing on that one. All right. The good news, by the way, actually, I thought the really good news was the whole Jalen Phillips thing, getting leg whipped, and he got, I think, a bruise on the knee, but he was back at practice. And I know he tried to calm everybody down on social media, but because of his injury history, we all worry about Jalen. We know he's fantastic and he's super talented, but I thought that was cool that he was out there on the field today practicing.
Yeah, just a bruise. So good for him because, when everyone first saw that, then you're starting to think the worst. Like, we know that last season ended with a knee injury. We know the year before ended with an Achilles. And, you just want, especially for such an important season for him, 5th-year option, contract year at the end of his rookie deal. It's important for him. It's important for the Dolphins. And, the worst was avoided there for sure, and he was right back at it.
Yeah. All right. I think the best part about the Zach Sealer deal, it was going to get done, dude. Once they did the Minka thing, you knew it was automatic, and eventually it happened. But I think the best thing about it now is you're done with all that kind of shit. You can now play football. Nobody's in line for any money that they deserve. I know some of you are talking about Waddle. His ass is going to have to have a huge year this year before you even start talking about anything, down the line, or anybody else down the line, or anybody that you want to talk about as an extension, Jalen Phillips, whatever, whoever it is down the line. It's all down the line now. A year, 2 years, 3 years from now. These are all things that are going to have to develop down the line. Now there's none of those issues left on the team right now for the moment, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I think the main ones that we were looking at going into training camp, it was Minka Fitzpatrick after you then took care of the other thing, which was Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. 2 birds with 1 stone, get Minka Fitzpatrick back. But then they gave you another task on the to-do list, which was then to put him in a happy place with a revised deal. He still wants the extension, but Then Zach Sealer was the other one, and I think he always knew they would eventually come around to him. And with the same agent as Minka, Drew Rosenhaus, I think there was communication with them, with the agency, with the Dolphins. So I think they always understood that would all go down, and sure enough, it did. The other thing was cornerbacks, and the Dolphins have added 3 veteran cornerbacks since camp started, and Jack Jones, Mike Hilton, and Cornell Armstrong. So while losing some as well, and Cater Coho and Artie Burns. So crossing those things off, maybe they could still use some help with the guys that are around. But when you see a guy like Storm Duck is having a good camp and all the good things you hear about him from coaches and the way he goes about his game, then you're hopeful that you've got one guy there. Although Keon Smith is not looking like anything you would hope for as a 2023 second round pick. So you take the good with the bad there, and now that's it. Kind of like puts you in a spot now where, and also you freed up some room by giving Sealer the extension while you bring in some cap space where maybe you could still make another move. I know Noah Fant was a thought, but then he ends up going to Cincinnati. But you can free yourself up.
No. They bring in bad rappers and retired football players, or a former 6th round pick from like 6 years ago in Chris Myrick. I know it was only a couple years ago, but I mean, Jesus Christ, bro. I mean, really, Chris Myrick. And what I love is people had to go deep and find a highlight from him in the preseason.
I did, yeah.
Catching a deep touchdown on the right side of the end zone.
Yeah. Hey, from Reed Sinnott. Dolphins legend.
Yeah, we're
preseason legend.
We're in it to win it with Reed Sinnott, baby. That's it. that's what it's all about. But
that was my first preseason on the Dolphins beat. So I was there getting ready to ask Brian Flores all the questions about Deshaun Watson, because as I flew into Cincinnati, that whole thing started taking off about the Dolphins pursuing Deshaun Watson ahead of the season. So the big thing was Brian Flores' next press conference. It was about asking him everything on the Deshaun Watson pursuit. And then in the meantime, this incredible ending to a preseason game with all these backups when Joe Burrow didn't play. Or no, he did play a series. And then, that's what everyone in Cincinnati needed to see after he came off his injury from the year before. They end up going to the Super Bowl later that year. But yeah, I mean, you end up having a thrilling exhibition game there.
That's crazy. All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, I was just writing actually a cool story today. Jalen Phillips, in talking to us, revealed how Patrick Paul is a master shit talker. He talks mad shit out there on the field. You think he's such a nice guy, and he is. But when he's out on the field, he can really bring it with the smack talk. So you love to see that. I wrote about we just had assistant coach interview sessions the other day. So been throwing out a bunch of stories on Eric Stootsville breaking down the running backs, Darren Waller, thoughts and insight from John Embry, the tight ends coach, Frank Smith, the OC, who had him with the Raiders as well. Special teams insight, because we heard from Craig Ackerman on some standouts there. Those are the guys who make the roster by the end of camp. So definitely check that out. And yeah, I think we're getting to it tomorrow, so we'll have that. And before they get out to Chicago, I might just write myself a little Larry Borum story. So so I know you'll be the first to click on that one. Big.
Oh yeah, I'll be clicking on that one, and I can't wait to see how Larry performs in these. That's the one thing that's going to be sad, because if you don't have somebody manning that right side, it's going to throw a lot of stuff off, man. So that's going to be rough. All right, follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. As always, my brother, appreciate you immensely. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You got it. Welt Rheaume, proud sponsors of our program. If you're looking for lawyers, you can count on Bookend Tackles. I saw them crush Progressive personally for us when we had some kids think that they were like Fast and Furious, and they went right through the wall of our house. Well, Progressive didn't want to do their jobs. Well, Welt Rheaume brought them to their knees. And they handle all, and then so many of our listeners over the last 5 years have called them 954-966-4646 for Welt Rheaume.